the Green Corn Rebellion Show. I'm Gregory Harden II, and today I'm here with Aryanna Islam, who is running for House of Delegates in West Virginia's 50th District. How are you doing today?
Doing pretty well. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm good. So, first question, where are you from and where'd you grow up at?
Well, I'm from Fairmont, West Virginia, and I grew up here. I'm born and raised here. So it's a little town. It's about 90 minutes south of Pittsburgh. So it's actually the seventh biggest city in West Virginia, but to everybody else, it's a little blip on the map.
Mhm. All right. So, what made you want to run for the House of Delegates?
Well, since I was 8 years old, I was always into politics, and I set the goal of running for office one day. I just thought it would be a little later, maybe after law school. But I'm currently 19. So 2 years ago was the first teacher strike here in West Virginia in 2018, and I was a senior in high school. And every day I went down there on the picket line with my teachers and stood there for almost 2 weeks actually. Every day I got up at 6 a.m., stayed the whole day, and I really realized how important state government was. So I was always more of like a national government person, and state government was an afterthought. I was like, oh well, that doesn't affect me. And then I realized, hey, it's really important. It was that coupled with the fact that we need a new change in leadership here because the average age of legislators is just like 60 or above, and I don't really think they understand the implications of policy they're passing that will affect my generation for many years to come.
All right. So one of your things you talk about on your platform is that you want to deal with the opioid crisis. What
Mm-hmm.
are some of the things you're wanting to do in order to deal with that?
So here in West Virginia, especially, the addiction crisis is just ravaged our state. Um, so it of course started with big pharma. They thought would be a good place to dump pills on. So a lot of small towns in the southern part of the state, especially, they were just given so many pills. They were just inundated with pills. So it's kind of like a culture thing. So a lot of kids, they grew up in these depressed towns that were depressed because of the economy wasn't doing too well because coal mines were being shut down. Coal mines were being shut down. There was just nothing there. So when that happens, a lot of people turn to other things to better their life. And unfortunately, prescription drugs and other drugs are still being used very heavily now because of that. And they always say here that it affects everybody here. Addiction, one way or another, whether it be your friend or a family member or yourself that's addicted, we're all affected by it. And that also plays into our foster care crisis. So we have too many kids in foster care, not enough families for them. So a lot of them have to be shipped out of state even. And in our schools, we've seen addiction ravage it because a lot of kids come to school and they don't have anything to eat at home. Their parents can't take care of them. And what we're trying to do is shift the narrative around that. So when people think of an addict, they cast them off as the other. They're lazy, they're no good, they're not like me and you. So we're trying to change the stigma around that first, because I think that language matters. So a few months ago, I held a forum on addiction, and we had some experts come in and talk about different aspects of it, and the goal was to change the stigma. So I want everybody to have a sense of community surrounding it because it does affect all of us, like I said, whether you like it or not. Um, I'd like to see more treatment centers expanded. Um, and actually, the number one issue that it seems like is a problem is insurance. Because a lot of people, they want to get care, they want to get clean, but their insurance doesn't cover it, or in a lot of times their insurance runs out, so they go to treatment, but they can't afford to pay without insurance, obviously, and they get kicked out of the program too early. Um, would also like to see more funding put to it and more of an emphasis on big pharma being bad, because a lot of our legislators are paid off by big pharma. That's one of the big issues, because they're being paid off by them. They're not going to do anything to help it. And I guess lastly, the last point would be to legalize cannabis. So actually, right now, there's a bill in the state legislature to do that. I don't know if it's going to pass, but there's pretty wide consensus about it right now. So.
All right. Um, so I also saw that you wanted to address the foster care crisis. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
hmm Yeah. So like I said, we have a shortage of foster care families here, and I think one of the biggest issues with education also as well is a lot of teachers have to take on a role where they are a parent figure to children. So a lot of kids, they aren't in foster care, but they're on the brink of it. I know my family's personally been affected by it. Um, but I was talking to some teachers about it, and they always just talk about how it's so sad that these kids, and it's not necessarily their parents' fault. Like I said, addiction is a very complicated issue, and I don't want to cast judgment on anybody, but they can't necessarily provide for their family, and a lot of these kids come into school and, like I said, they don't have any food at home. The school is the only safe place they have. Um, and I think if so, I like to think of every issue as being like in a circle. So if you solve one issue, it's going to help everything else. So again, this ties in with addiction, and that if we were to alleviate some of the pain from the addiction crisis, we would see foster care numbers drop because kids could be with their parents, and it would make the circle smaller.
All right. So on your education part of your platform, you say no to charter schools.
hmm
In West Virginia, you guys currently don't have any charter schools, is that right?
That is correct. So it was the second teacher strike in 2019. The big thing was we want the big thing was the Republicans in the legislature wanted charter schools. So like you said, we currently don't have any charter schools. We're one of the only states that do not have any. Um, but the battle was about protecting public education because it takes away money from public schools. And as a public school student, I understand that we can't afford any funding going away from public schools. I mean,
Mhm.
and in some instances, the public schools, like the high schools, are the only schools in the county, and they can't afford any cuts, and
Yeah.
they are pillars of the community. Um, and plus, some of the legislatures were actually going to make money off of it. So that was another thing about it. But yeah, that battle's still raging on here, and I think it's going to come back. The charter school bill is probably going to come back. The provisions in that bill, there were some other things in that bill too, but the charter schools are the main thing. But also, the funny thing is, we tend to, of course, divide ourselves into liberals and conservatives. Think we fight over all these issues. But West Virginians agreed that we don't want charter schools. So 88% of people said no, we don't want this, and the state legislature didn't listen. So
All right. Um, I think that's good that y'all don't have charter schools. Like, you guys also don't have right to work, isn't that right?
well, we're kind of battling that right now. So I'm against right to work. Full disclaimer: I'm very pro union, so of course I'm against that legislation. So.
Mhm. All right. Let's see here. Yeah, and yeah, because like here in Oklahoma, we got right to work. What was it? It's like in the year 2000, I think is what it was. And after that, it was just like union density just went down, and then
Mm-hmm.
wages and everything, it just got bad.
Mm-hmm.
um, so and you support a $15 minimum wage, correct?
I do want to see the minimum wage raised. So actually, I guess I'll plug a governor's candidate here. So there's this guy, Stephen Smith, who's running for governor here, and his platform is called West Virginia Can't Wait. And he has a candidate pledge that people can sign. So there's, I think, about 75 of us now who have signed the pledge to not take corporate money, never cross the picket line, never hide from debates. Um, and he has a platform of, I think it's 32 plans. And actually, in one of his platform pieces is to raise the minimum wage. And I was really amazed to see a governor candidate in West Virginia say that, because I would have never thought in a million years I would have seen somebody bring that up. And always other platform pieces are amazing. Um, there's something for everybody in there, that's for sure. But I would like to see the minimum wage raised, because most of the jobs around here, well, so our biggest industry was of course coal, but right now that's not, it's not sustainable for our economy right now. And for the last, I don't know, 30 or so years, it's been in decline. And most people who work around here work like minimum wage jobs. So if we see the minimum wage rate, I think that would help boost our economy.
All right. And then earlier you said that you support the legalization of marijuana, correct?
Mhm.
All right. Um, and you also say you want to support coal miners, not coal barons, and you want to
Mhm.
diversify West Virginia's energy market. Can you explain how you plan on doing both of those things at the same time?
Mhm. So here in West Virginia, there's always been a battle about the people at the top versus the people at the bottom. It's never been left versus right. It's always been the, the CEOs and the heads of these out-of-state corporations versus everyone else. So we have a long history of labor rights, and labor unions, and labor protest here. So of course, I said coal was an integral part of our economy um, many years ago. And one thing that the miners always fought for were better conditions for them. So the coal miner unions, like the UMWA now, are big entities. So they've always fought for the coal miner, not the coal baron. And the problem is that a lot of these coal barons and people at the top, they never mind a piece of coal in their life. They don't have the consequences of black lung or the injuries they sustain. Um, and they just, like our governor currently, he was a coal baron. And he's sitting up there in his $1 billion Greenbrier mansion, just living it up. And these coal miners, they just work so hard. And they get, like I said, black lung disease. And they don't get taken care of because their pensions aren't fulfilled, which is also another issue. For Senator Manchin, I remember because I interned for him this past summer, and one of the hot topics was passing the coal miner pensions bill, and it wasn't passed for months. So that just goes to show you that they don't really care about the average coal worker. But to go on your point of diversifying the energy market, I would like to see us invest in more energy. So I think we are an energy-based state, and I know that's important to people. I would like to see maybe try some renewables somewhere, solar, maybe hydro, I don't know, wind. I know I've seen wind turbines before here.
Hmm.
And solar energy, there's actually a bill in the legislature now to help expand that. Um, but it's a hard sell here. And I understand that because a lot of families rely on coal as their income. It's a good paying, you get a good paying union job. And I think in order to make the transition into other energy markets, we have to say, hey, you can get a good union paying job here. And we can't just abandon coal miners. It's not going to work. And like Hillary Clinton came in here and said, we were going to take coal miners out of business. And that was, you can't do that. You're
Yeah.
not living there. You're not feeding your family being a coal miner. You don't understand how much it means. And it is a very big part of our culture here. Like we have a miniature golf course called Coal Country here. So it's
Mhm.
just a part of us.
That's cool. And also on your platform, you said you want to have tuition-free college and trade school.
Hmm.
All right. Could you
Yeah,
talk
so
about that a little bit? Yeah. Go ahead.
that's also in Stephen Smith's plan. He has a plan for that too, and he has on the bottom of everyone, he has how you're going to pay for it. So like some of it's like a wealth tax and shifting the tax bracket. But yeah, tuition free college is something that affects, of course, my generation right now. And I've seen a lot of my friends that they really want to go to college, but they can't afford to. They just,
Hmm.
it's just too much. And it's really sad because, like I said, they want to and they just can't afford it. And I know me, I'm in my position where I got enough scholarship money where I can go to college. But if I didn't have that, I couldn't afford to go to college. Um, so I'd like to see that taken care of because that would lift a huge burden off of people's backs. Also, that goes into debt too. A lot of my friends are already in debt. They're not even out of undergraduate yet, so it's a big problem. And I think that would incentivize people to maybe stay in state here too. If we invest in them, maybe they'll invest in the state.
Yeah. All right. Last question. Who are your favorite music artists?
Ooh, let's see here. Well, I'm kind of weird about music, so I don't like any particular like band or anything, but I do like big band music from the 40s.
Hmm.
So Glenn Miller is probably my favorite because when I was in band in high school, we played a lot of his pieces in our big concert every year. So I'd say probably him.
What instrument did you play in band?
I played clarinet for 4 years in marching band and concert band.
That's cool. I played trumpet, so that's that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. Can you tell me where we can find you on social media and what your campaign website is?
Yes. So my campaign website is aryanaforhouse.com. It's ARYANNA for house.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Ariana for WV.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.